Hey guys, and welcome back to Threads, where the last time you saw Threads, it'll have only been like a couple of weeks, I think, since I'll be skipping a week to work on another video. But for me, it's been 4 months since I've recorded a Threads episode, so it's kind of a weird disparity between when these are coming out and the actual time last time that I actually recorded. But welcome to Threads episode 12. Haven't recorded one in a while, like I said, so I'm kind of rusty. I decided to pick out a thread that I think will be relatively interesting, but kind of on the simpler side, so I don't have to go digging through too many pages or too many replies. But this thread is on X, per the usual. As I understand, I haven't read through it. I think it's kind of more of a reading thread. I enjoy these. I don't know if you guys do, but without further ado, let's hop into the thread. This thread was posted on December 16th of 2014 at 10 o'clock p.m. or actually pretty much pushing 11 o'clock. Thread number is 155-84307. It starts off with, "Alright X, I have a story for you, so sit a while and listen. This takes place 3 summers ago during a boar hunting trip down a very rural area of the Ozark South. My main reasoning for sharing this is that ultimately I don't believe in the paranormal. However, I believe that I may have run across something that I couldn't explain and I want input. Fair warning, I'm no good at green text. However, I'm not going to assault you with a wall of text. In any case, enough pretense aside, be back from college and wanting to go out in the woods, be bored as fuck on a Friday night and decide to head out super early for boar hunting with a friend of mine, JD. JD is an Eagle Scout, not prone to being spooked very easily, and I have been hunting in places ranging from deep south swamps to Alaska. I'd love to go to Alaska, man. That'd be so much fun. I know what he means when he wants to get out in the woods. I've never been boar hunting though. I don't know what that's like, to be honest. We pack our shit up and leave for his place around 12:30 a.m. Goddamn. After stopping for energy drinks and beef jerky, every hunter's best friends, we end up getting out there at around 2:15 a.m. We'd hunted this area for, how are they gonna, I'm gonna assume they're just gonna wait out till the morning, but goddamn, if they weren't, they need like night vision scopes, kind of like I've seen people use them, like using Trigicon night vision scopes for hunting, kind of like IR scopes almost. That's what they'd have to use if they're doing it like dead of the night. We'd hunted this place for boar many times in daylight, seen tons of deer, squirrel, and even a baby fawn that fell asleep by the warmth of our car engine once. Basically a nice place. We pull in off the gravel tract 40 miles from town and 3 miles from Podunk gas station deer check station. Decide not to fuck about in the woods at night. We'd had a mountain lion walk in our tracks on a previous hunting trip. Oh fuck. Well, that's why you carry like a 45 or something to like, smoke it if it gets near you. Roll down windows and try to take a short nap. Instantly we're hit with this nasty, cloying, sickly sweet odor. I just brushed off going, just some wet deer, haha. Should mean our scent won't travel far in heavy damp air. JD just looks at me and says, "That smells like death, bro, like a cow that's been out in the sun too long." I launch into a diatribe about him being a gigantic pussy and how he should deal with it. Continued. In any case, since we don't either want to be mucking around in the woods, home to mountain lions in the dead of night, or be accused of night hunting by some faggot ranger. Hey, dude, I want to be a park ranger. That's mean, dude. I'm hurt. We decided to go check and see if Podunk gas station is open. Surprised JD's shitty old four banger won't start. Fine, looks like it's nap followed by hunting while we wait for some toothless mechanic to jumpstart his car. All the while, the smell seems to be seeping through the vents and the cracks in the windows. It gets to the point where I'm actively retching in the car. Enough's enough, and we decide that if something had gone and died, we'd prefer not to be stuck in a gigantic tin can right beside the corpse. We get out of the car, parked in the middle of this parking area surrounded by tall grass on the north side and woods on all the others. A swamp was to our direct west, full of boar, deer, and critters. As I'm sitting there loading up the magazine to my rifle, JD just keeps scanning the tree line with his eyes. To the Europores and Northerners, hunting in swamps is close quarters. We hunt boar with semi-automatic rifles in the south. You want a quick follow-up shot in case the 400 ball of muscle with 8-inch tusk decides to charge you from 25 to 30 yards out. I mean, it makes sense to hunt with a semi-automatic rifle. I mean, you can hunt with a bolt action. It depends on where you live, really, but I mean, that makes sense. But it's like, what caliber is he using? If I had to guess what he's using, he's probably using like maybe a 223, which it was a bore, yeah, you'd probably have to double tap it really quick to make sure it drop. But with something like if you were like using I don't know, 308, you'd probably be able to drop it with one shot. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not a hunter, like I said. Something's got his hackles all up, but I'm feeling fine, so I dismissed it as faggotry. Anyway, suited up, we make our way down to the small footpath, 1 to 2 feet wide, that winds its way down into the swamp. However, reaching the tree line, we both just stopped staring into the woods for a few minutes before either of us spoke. It was almost like shining a flashlight down a mine shaft where darkness sort of dissipated the light. I could feel my skin crawl, and something deep in the hindmost parts of my mind told me to walk right back to the center of the clearing and wait for light. Nope. So we do what any caveman would have done in that situation. We grunted out a few excuses to preserve our manhood and went and sat the fuck down by his car. Like, fuck, I'm gonna bumble through woods with mountain lion, weed growers, and God knows what else at 3:15 by that point in the goddamn morning. I'm actually surprised that they decided to turn back. Usually they'll just keep going, but hey, you know, it's a smart creepypasta protagonist move. I'm surprised. I'm actually kind of taken aback by that. The mood lightened and the smell had seemed to recede a bit, so we just buried ourselves, checking our rifles, talking about girls, politics, and history. We're a weird bunch. After a while, the smell started coming back, and we began to voice our concern that something that smelled fucking dead was moving around. As the smell starts growing more and more oppressive, I start hearing branches and twigs break in the undergrowth. Whatever it is, it's moving. I don't like that one bit. At this point, I'm thinking it's a mountain lion that's all covered in gore from a recent kill that's about to go full territorial mode. That wouldn't have been out of the question, but it wasn't. As I strained to hear what it was, I noticed that the snapping didn't come from the pat 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 of a four-legged animal. It resembles the crunch 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 of a novice hunter picking his way through the undergrowth. My first thought was we either had a ranger with a sick sense of humor, a drug grower with a great sense of humor, or worse, a motherfucking serial killer. Well, you have rifles, dude. Either way, weapons were shouldered, bolts closed, unloaded chambers, and lights pointed towards where the sound was. Nothing, it's fucking nothing, just the smell, and a slower now, crunch, crunch. And it stops. The smell is everywhere now, and whoever it is sitting far enough back in the tree line to not be silhouetted by our lights. Smart asshole. No eye shine either, which ruled out just about any animal other than a boar, which make enough noise to be easily noticeable. Continued. Semi-auto for hunting. You fucking cunt. Real hunters use bolt actions only. Oh man, you got that one guy, dude. He carries a 45 because they don't make a 46, dude. And it won 2 world wars, right? In my eyes, it makes sense to hunt with a semi-auto. I don't hunt, like I said. And like I said, I don't know what caliber he's using. He could have been using 300 Blackout, which was around during the time, but I think it was back in 2014. I'd had to look that up. 300 Blackout's more of a newer caliber, but maybe he was using that for hunting. That'd be a pretty good hunting caliber for a rifle, I think. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not a hunter. Not OP, and I'm not a usual hunter, but I've been boar hunting once. Shit was intense. Those fuckers come out of nowhere quick as fuck. Yeah, you'd have to be like a World War II Lee Enfield bolter to like get a fast enough follow-up shot. I'll be here. A quick break from my story. I've hunted Alaska for bear, everywhere for deer and upland game. My usual rifle is Mosin Nagant. Oh man, trashy, I know. Yeah, except nowadays they go for a fucking lot though. Probably at the time he bought it, it was like $100. And when I hunt bird, it's a break open shotgun. However, if you're hunting a 400-pound boar that can zip through knee-high water as if it weren't there, it's one of those few times you'd want to send on my auto. Trust me. Yeah, but they charge a lot for those now. Like, I understand back in the days that a Mosin Nagant, like, would go for $100, and then they went to $150, and nowadays it's like you're paying $250 to $350 for one, which is ridiculous, because you can get an SKS for the same price. That's a 10-round semi-automatic 7.62 by 39, which is a lot better than a 5-round 7.62 by 54R. I mean, I guess it's your preference, but you know, fixed magazine, I should say, for the SKS, but you can get detachables if you really want to. Once again, the caveman brain rears up deep within my psyche and tells me, fire. A fire, you idiot, built a fire. So what do? JD and I build a fucking fire. Throughout this whole affair, other than a few moments, we'd been mostly quiet. However, the fire gives us comfort, and whatever it is seems to back off into the forest, if only for a while. As the fire burns hot, we start joking again, having a decent time, convincing ourselves it was only a cougar. However, there's only so much timber in a gravel clearing, and after a while we'd have to venture out of the firelight to keep the fire going. That time came, and as the fire burned down to embers, the smell came back more oppressive than ever, and with that smell came an almost oppressive feeling of fear. Not regular fear, but intense guttural fear that made your muscles tense, your stomach turn, and your eyes go wide. Every fiber of our being told us to get more wood, to get the fire high. Only with fire will we survive the night. Gee, that's being a bit dramatic. So we cautiously walked to the closest tree line, barely able to see from the dying light of the fire. We'd been trying to save our flashlights. I was on guard duty as we figured that my SEPMI 308 semi-automatic, fucking man, bitch, that's the shit, dude. A SEPMI, oh man, those things are so sexy. If you don't know, I'm gonna suppose some of you are kind of like, you may be gamers, but the SEPMI, which is, like he said, he's the 308 semi-automatic, that's kind of like that's like the G3 pretty much. I think SEPMIs were Spanish though. Yes, SEPMI was Spanish. G3 was the HK copy of the SEPMI. If you're interested in kind of like what it was, I'll probably throw up a picture of it, but you know, I've wanted one of those. Those things are really cool, but really beside the point. Would be a better standoff weapon than JD's small carbine. I'm tacticaling the fuck out at this point, adrenaline flowing from a profound feeling that something just isn't right. JD leans down to the undergrowth to pick up a stick, reaching into the tree line. He screams and falls backwards while branches break right in front of him. He gets up freaking out, dusting himself off, says he saw something staring at him first. Sunken eyes, a thick brow ridge, ashy gray skin. Then it smiled at him, not so much as it smiled, but curled back its lips into a Cheshire grin. We're at Nope Con 1, gentlemen. I wonder what JD has. A small carbine? I wonder if he has like a Mini 14 or M1 carbine or something like that. Continued, I'm going to ignore the next hour of this hopscotch game of the fire dying, the smell growing more intense, him, as we call it now, drawing nearer, building the fire back up, and him retreating back to stay away from the firelight. However, it should be noted that this entire time he was circling us, probing our defenses, seeing if it could find a way to get up close without being seen. By the time 5 a.m. rolled around, we exhausted almost all of the dry firewood that wasn't within the tree line, except for the tall grass on the northeast side of the road in. We, of course, do what we have to do and slowly pick our way over to small grass or to tall grass. By this point, I have taped the flashlight to my rifle and switch it on as we leave the fire to get some dry grass. As JD is filling his hands with tinder, I check my right hand side and look down the road. I wish I hadn't. Just as I swing my flashlight over the road, I see him for the first time. It's grayish black with either slawing skin or matted gray fur. I honestly couldn't tell. It crossed the 10-yard track what seemed like instantly. Hunched over, maybe 5.5 to 6 feet tall, moving like a gorilla does. It's over. Something in my head just starts screaming, it's over. It knows you've seen it. It's not just being territorial. It's circling like a predator. It is a predator. That feeling hadn't been one of fear, but of impending predation. Somehow the lower parts of our subconscious had known what was going on long before we did. In any case, we ran back to the fire, popped the dry grass on top, and waited for the smells to recede. It didn't. It was close, very close, and this time it wasn't moving. So we pushed out and got into the trunk of JD's car and listened as it passed behind the front of his car back into the trees. Continued. In a burst of brilliance, I decided that we either make the 3-mile run through darkness countryside to the gas station and pray the lights are on, or we build a fire big enough that one of the farmers or someone driving the main road can see it. We end up deciding that sprinting 3 miles through the dark countryside, guns on our back, could at the worst get devoured by him or shot by a terrified farmer. So we do the next best thing. We pull a fucking small tree out of the ground. I'm not talking about a bush. I'm talking about a small 8 to 9 foot tree. It's amazing what adrenaline can do for you. So much adrenaline where your facial muscles are drawn tight and your eyes dilate to being nearly black. JD's description of my face. In any case, the fire burns bright, very bright, after a while, and he retreats further into the woods. This fucking tree burned a long ass time. Eventually, maybe 30 minutes after throwing the tree on the fire, 3 lifted trucks come barreling down the road and flying to the gravel parking lot. The first truck had an obscene amount of those off-road lights on the bull bar and roof, which lit up the whole glade like the fucking sun. The smell almost goes away entirely. Still there, but almost imperceptible. No one gets out of the first truck. A man wearing a National Guard t-shirt and ACU pants hops out of the second truck with his hands on his hip, concealed pistol. He questions us for about 10 minutes, makes us disarm, clears our chambers, and sets our rifles in JD's cars. He tells us there's a burn ban, we shouldn't be out here fucking around, etc., etc. We explained that our car died and we came out hunting and made that as a signal fire. He just looks at us strangely at the word hunting. Walks back to truck number 1, comes back, tells us not to come back there unless we have our ducks in a row. Continued, truck 3 drives over and a man hops out to jumpstart a car. I shake his hand and thank him profusely and gives me a worried but sympathetic look. He doesn't say much but walks back to his truck and drives away. Truck 2 drives away shortly thereafter. Once we've got all of our shit packed up, truck 1's window rolls down and a rather fat man in the pole calls me and JD over. There's no boar here, guys. If you're hunting for boar, you best be looking further down the road, at least on the other end of County Redacted. Bullshit, tons of boar in there, but I don't say that. I'm not gonna mouth off to the hillbilly militia that just saved my life, so I thank him for his advice. JD and I get back in his car, debating whether he had gone away with all the commotion. Just as soon as Fatty McLightbar had pulled out, the smell returned yet again. Nope, we're out, hop on the gravel road, drive to the highway, drive past the View Farms, and make our way towards the western border of County Redacted. We notice we're being followed by a small white Honda. Guess who's sitting in the front seat? Fatty McLightbar and Hillbilly Militia Man. I like these names. They follow us all the way out of that county, then turn around. So ends my experience. It's hard to get green text to express emotion, the exact description of the smell, or the primal fear we felt. I wrote an after-action report of sorts in the morning after the hunt, but haven't been able to find it after I moved. Hence the green text. In any case, I've debated going back with more than 2 people to hunt him, but I'd like to know what exactly I was dealing with. This is of course not touching the fact that Hillbilly Militia Patrol seemed to know more than they were letting on. Any ideas? X-Files. Jesus Christ, man, I have no idea what it was, but I would not go back. You're out of your element. There are stories of shit like this, and some of them include the fact that the fuckers, similar to what you described, shrugged off rounds like nothing, leaving behind black blood, but seeming no worse for the wearer as they casually loped away. Or lurk a bit and you might find some goof deterrent stories. I've heard your words and internalized them. I'm going to look for the story I'm talking about and come back to post it. I'm 90% sure I have it bookmarked. And then he reports back, motherfucking this creepypasta OP, read it again and tell me if you're going to rethink going back to hunt him. Please take note of his apparent impermeability to bullets. I'm not a hunter, so I can't contextualize the size of the bullet in the creepypasta. So this is a creepypasta you linked to. I don't know if it's worth reading over. Part 1, be hunting coyotes out in a cornfield, be hunting at night, be hunting over a gut pile of some jacklight deer, shoot 2 coyotes, leave them there, half hour passes, nothing. Suddenly silence, complete fucking silence. No bugs, no birds, no anything. Crunch, scrape, crunch, tearing noise. What the fuck? Cloud goes over moon, complete darkness. I can't see your own hand darkness. Something silvery, very low to ground, and about 8 feet long, gnawing on dead coyote by gut pile. Assume pair of coyotes laid down to dine. Explains the length. Night vision sucks for distance recognition. Bring rifle to shoulder. Sight approximately where a shoulder hip would be. 243, I guess. What was 243? Is that a Winchester or Ruger? I can't remember. 243 ballistic tips, more than enough to fuck a coyote, even with a hip shot. Crack, it just kind of stands up. Only gains like 6 inches in height, but can now clearly see it has 4 legs. Eyes, oh god, the eyes, bloody fucking red and huge. Like bigger than a coyote's entire head huge. Work that bolt, crack, watch round impact and puff of dust, and hair 3 inches behind beside one eye. It just kind of saunters off like I'd hit it with a cork gun. Part 2, work the bolt faster than I've ever worked a bolt before. Crack. bolt working. Crack. Now out of sight. Rapidly reload. Tactically myself back to truck. Grab AR, 8 magazines, and fucking huge battery spotlight. Tactically my way back. 1 million candle spotlight for the record. Blood and fucking fur everywhere. Dead coyote is bitten clean half like one bite. Fur is like fake redhead red. Like I shot a pipe full of cheap wigs. Notice blood trail. Blood looks black. That ain't right, not under incandescent light. Take Walmart receipt from pocket, dab in blood. Blood is black. Frantically shine light over a wood line, immediately light up face, eyes of that thing. It's just sitting there watching, sitting like a dog, but it's like 6 feet tall. Wait a minute, its legs weren't that long. Shine light on its chest. It's leaning on an old fence post like a human, covered in that fake redhead red fur. Mag dump AR. Reload. It appears completely unconcerned even though there is now black blood clearly visible on its fur. Tactically note my way back to the truck, haul ass to town, get game warden. Game warden goes back out with me at first light, armed for bear. Coyotes and deers now reduced to clean white bone. Bones still in skeleton position. No predator eats like that. No predator is that clean. Find blood and fur. Game warden takes samples in evidence bag. Go home. Be informed immediately upon returning home. DNR has already called with analysis. I know that fucking fact. I beat Warren back to town. DNR says it was a bobcat. My state hasn't had a confirmed bobcat sighting since the 30s. That thing was easily 20 times the size of a bobcat. Call DNR back. Get brusquely told to drop the subject. I think the government was field testing some sentient bioweapon. It absorbed at least 2 good hits from a 243 and at least 1 good hit from a 5.56 Swift A-frame. Never went back to farm after dark. Okay, that was a pretty cool side story, I suppose. Yeah, so I'm taking from this is 2 rednecks go hunting. By this time they smoked 4 joints and downed a bottle of moonshine. Cars dies. They start to trip mad balls. Some very nice military gentlemen see their fire and come to aid. They're kind enough to point out better hunting location and escort them to higher populace in case their car dies again. So this is apparently LP replying to the creepypasta and then the drinking. Opie here, replying to the creepypasta. It was proven to be a llama. Some retarded farmer dyed red to keep track of it. Blood mixed with hair dye to made it black. The guy posted on K a few months later, having killed it. He never got a clean shot on it, and the bullets all glanced. He killed it in daylight later. And then I wish I could say I was high as a kite or drunk, but I wasn't. I was stoned sober. Drunk driving is stupid. Shooting guns while drunk is stupid. Drunk driving to drunk shoot guns while drunk hobbling through the woods and swamp at night. Fucking retarded, my friend. As far as drugs, I don't do drugs. They're not exactly my cup of tea. Opie here applying to that guy. So being your average member of the southern upper class, a man such as myself has one question. How big of a gun do I need to kill such things? I have an old Smith & Wesson 500 single shot rifle. Would that suffice? Or are you hinting towards me having to go to the reservation I grew up on to speak to some old medicine man wannabe? Opie here, here's an idea. It doesn't like fire right. What about Dragon's Breath? Oh shit, dude. If you don't know, Dragon's Breath is like it's pretty much a shotgun shell, I think, loaded with napalm usually. It's crazy shit. I mean, seriously, OP, if you're fucking crazy enough to go back there, then you're crazy enough to fire incendiary rounds in the woods, you should fucking do it. You should fucking not do it. You should fucking not do that. You shouldn't burn down the woods. Smokey said only you can prevent forest fires, and that is a forest fire. So how big of a gun would I need to kill such things? I have no idea. I'm not a gun person. I don't use them. My weapons are intent and energy, spiritual weapons. What you encountered may be gun invulnerable, the kind of thing that bleeds but doesn't feel pain and has a large store of blood that can generate more blood using energy and intent. On that premise, which in my experience is a incredible premise or a credible premise, guns worthless. I have an old Smith & Wesson 500 single shot rifle. Would that suffice? On the premise I described it would suffice insofar as you really want to see this thing's blood, but not so far that it would take it down or would wound it in any meaningful sense of the word. Were you hinting towards me having to go back to the reservation I grew up and speaking to some old medicine man wannabe? I've said in no uncertain time, do not return and give it up. You are outclassed and out of your element. A man of order and propriety will tell you the same. A medicine man would probably tell you not to speak of such thing again, as it brings upon yourself. You are a heedless man, though. I know none of this is seeking in, except anything that edifies a notion of how do I kill it, how do I approach it, how do I assert my dominance. He is right, though. You are out of your element. You're on its home ground. It stalked you, and it's intelligent. Either it was scared of fire or scared of guns. Either way, I don't like the options you faced. Is it killable? Not, no doubt. Everything dies. Should you risk it? Fuck no. Why would it smile at your friend? That would insist that it was intelligent, a predator that would have bit the top of his skull, killing him instantly. Predators don't bare their teeth to prey. They bare their teeth as a warning, or use it to intimidate. So why would this creature bare its teeth? The only logical explanation left is that it's at least somewhat intelligent. So if it is intelligent, then why would it be scared of fire? If something is a predator, why would it have a musk? An animal could smell it easier, and judging by the fact it sat and watched you guys for a good bit, it stalks its prey. Why would it smell? An adaptation of such as that would go against it. Also, why would its eyes not reflect light? At some point, you would have shined it on it. Unless it's not got night vision, which means it hunts in daylight, more reasons not to be afraid of a light source, fire. That, or it's intelligent and it hid its face from the light, which would still point to why is it scared of fire. OP, explain or fess up. So it is a predator. How do we know this? It stalked. It had forward-facing eyes. Introduced to fire. This is what I'm questioning. The animal bared its teeth. There's only a few reasons for doing this. It feels threatened and it's cornered and is using it to intimidate like a dog. It's toying with you and understands what a smile is. It was just chance or your friend was lying. Now, since we can assume it's a predator and that it has not attacked you yet, it's not being territorial. I think it's also safe to assume that your friend didn't walk up into it and it walked up to him and showed its teeth. This means it doesn't feel threatened. It had the intelligence to know how to toy with you. So then if it understood how to toy with the human, why would it be scared of fire? Dragon's Breath OP, do it. Post results, man. They just want them to... I think you have to make Dragon's Breath by yourself. Yeah, they don't sell that shit on the shelf. People that have been around animals know they stink. Dogs, coyotes, bears, etc. have a smell. And animals like rolling and smelling substances, even horses and chickens. Now with the great coat, the lack of eye shine, the fact that it was on knuckles like a gorilla, anyone think this is an old skunk ape? Cataracts would kill eye shine, and if he was old, possibly he can't take care of himself, has infections, and therefore would smell horrible. Yes, most skunk apes are said to stink, but not to the point of making someone vomit. I lived on a farm for almost 3 decades, and infections, especially in long-haired animals, are rank as hell. My double-coated dog had one recently. He smelled like rotting flesh. Had to shave him bald to find the abscess. Opened it up like the rest of the way and cleaned it out. If I wasn't used to discussing shit like that, I'm sure I'd be vomiting too. I think it was on the fence of whether to chase you off or eat you. It was debating and sizing you up. If it was old and injured, it was probably hungry and trying to decide if it was hungry enough to risk injuring itself further. Hell, maybe it was wondering why you 2 idiots were out on a gravel road at night instead of a campground. Most Bigfoot attacks involved throwing rocks and twigs. They used to straight up murder people in the past. Actually, he didn't do much to try to intimidate you. He crashed through the woods a little. As for the baring of teeth smiling, it probably thought it was hidden until it realized your friend saw it. Fire deters a lot of shit. Fire is something all animals are instinctively scared of, even humans, except when we control it. We know campfire equals safety and wildfire equals death. Light would also expose it. You guys were in an open area. If it came out in the firelight, it'd see you. You'd see it. It obviously needed the element of surprise to attack, or it was using the dark to observe you. I don't know what the hell skunk ape. Oh, it's a mythological creature. I thought it might have been something legitimate, but it's one of those kind of mythology creatures. Based on the argument thus far, there are 2 options. As for the baring of teeth smiling, probably thought it was hidden. This is the first one. Simple territorialism or half-committed predation implies a predatorial creature, not necessarily intelligent, though at least as intelligent as the average predatorial animal, or it wasn't scared of the fire but was intentionally avoiding it. When you try to stay unnoticed by someone, you conceal yourself in a crowd. Locational concealment, distance. If the target notices you, it may look like avoidance out of fear when it really is avoidance out of purpose. And when does something purposely avoid detection only to let itself seen briefly? When it decides to be seen later. Then it's playing with its prey. This thing wasn't scared of the fire, and judging by OP's description, it wasn't a normal predator. It was playing with them, not intending intending to strike, but to induce fear of the possibility of a strike. It never intended to make a move, it was playing a game. To me, that is terrifying. Okay, so we have another story on this thread, as a matter of fact, which is interesting. I guess this is going to be like a 3-story thread. This is going to be like a mega story thread. This will be interesting to edit. Have dad that lives in the middle of the Ozark Mountains stay with him for a few weeks to a month every summer. Mom has custody, but she and dad are on good terms. House isn't great, mate, but he made a lot of the furniture out of local cedar, and he's pretty skilled carpenter engineer type. Has his own sawmill and wood shop that brother was with me. Used to make candlesticks and tables and things when we got older. House has this little screen wall porch, important later, on this side 90 degrees away from the door. Has a sliding door, but it's busted, so you could have to walk about 20 feet around the house each time you want to go in or come out. Anyway, B11:12, few days left until we go out. We go home to mom, excited to go home and play video. It's nighttime. Me and bro's bedroom is on the second floor. Only window has good view of front yard. Read trees left to right, driveway front and road to front. Trying to fall asleep but too excited. Hear dad and stepmom talking downstairs, which is weird because they're always asleep by 10ish. Front door opening. .wav. This is weird. Look out window, see dad out with a flashlight and his old double barrel, don't know model, sorry commandos. Goes to leftmost tree line and shines light here and there. Debate waking brother up about this, but he gets pissy real easy. Hear gunshot and nearly shit myself whipping back to window. Look back in time to see dad thumb another shell into the breech. Whatever he was doing, he wanted 2 shots at the ready. So nervous, I actually hear the clack of the gun. See him walk backwards all the way to the house, trying to hold his gun and flashlight up at the same time. It was one of those big clunky fucking ones that use the massive battery, so a mag light. He makes it uneventfully. I'm too wired to fall back asleep. Next few days, he seems weird and more quiet than usual. Doesn't want to do any of the stuff he normally leaps at us with. Continued. Oh shit, he drew up a plan of the house. We left a few days later, and I was too chicken shit to ask him about it. The next year we visited, though, things were different around the house. Drive up to his house, rode there with a half-grown English Mastiff taking up 80% of the back seat. Friendly enough to us, but slobbery. Finally make it around late afternoon. Suddenly, lights fucking everywhere. Floodlights at each corner of the house. Lights on posts. Goddamn Christmas lights strung up around the house. Honest to God, watchtowers set up on 3 sides of the house. Sawmill's been moved. New platform on top of the wood shop. 4 or 5 new guns, all high-powered rifles. Again, no models because I was a kid. All I have now is an 700 ADL for deer hunting. My fuck, there's even a concrete bunker. It's K's wet dream. And before fake, I shit you not, my dad's place is still set up like this. It was in the days before camera phones, and it never occurred to me to take a picture of his shame until now. Ask him what it's all for. Platforms, deer stands, 4 of them within 200 feet of the house. Bunker, auto maintenance, the lights to make the place more cheery, the dogs and guns to keep weirdos off the property. The way he answered my questions still bugs me. They sounded 100% rehearsed. Anyways, thanks for reading past all the expository bullshit needs to set the stage for the next post. And so I'm gonna, okay, there's the house, porch, greenhouse, dogs. Oh man, he even has a key. Distances, sizes roughly to scale, and has indicators where the lights were. Man, this guy, he put some effort into this post. And like trees pretty much cover 180, and then another 180 is uncovered. Right now for the shit my dad doesn't like talking about. Go to bed that night. There's a new heavy curtain on the window. Why? Because the lights are always on. Wake up that night to a gunshot. Look outside. My eyes.jpg. See dad on one of the deer stands working the bolt on one of his new guns. Something's up. Next morning he's practically vegetative. Ask him about last night, trying to get us a deer to barbecue. Shrug.gif. Ask if I can go outside and play. He thinks for a moment and says yes, but not to go off into the woods. Super intense eyes when he said the last thing despite being raccoon-eyed. Get outside, make beeline for the stand he was on last night. Feet clink on pile of 30 shells. I'm gonna guess he's talking about 30-06. If you've been doing your math, all the new gear plus those expensive ass rounds should be adding up to to quite a sum. His job's not terrible, but that crap must have been expensive. Yeah, 30-06 is like, well, it depends. It can be 50 cents to a dollar usually. I think M1 spec shit is usually like a dollar around. Fast forward a few days, Dad got a pig from one of his neighbors. Closest one is at least 5 miles in any direction. And we spent the day learning to barbecue properly. Dad has the shoddy on standby and Fonzie, his old German Shepherd, nearby the entire time. That evening, we're all sitting on the screen porch, licking our finger when Fonzie starts barking his head off, staring at the ravine behind the house. The dogs on the other side start barking and growling too. Dad starts up and nearly knocks the plate off his lap. He grabs his gun and stares down the ravine. Cat takes the boys inside. Suddenly hear the sound of branches snapping from the trees near the bunker. We're being flanked. Brett and I are swapping nervous glances, just about pissing ourselves. Without a word, Dad hands Cat Fonzie's leash and takes the rear while she leads us inside. Once inside the greenhouse, it's straight shot to the door and the six of us go in. Dad grabs a flashlight, a new gun, and a bug-out bag filled with rounds and goes outside with Fonzie. Continued. Cat tries to keep us entertained with a stash of old kids tapes, but neither of us are interested. Brother wants to go out and help Dad. I'm pissing my britches. For about half an hour, it's nothing but gunshots, growling, and the occasional yell from Dad. The window-mounted AC is running, and there's a weird smell to the air. Old barbecue gun smell, and something absolutely awful. Not trying to copy OP, but it's almost exactly how he put it. Rank horse sweat mixed with something like old manure and hot death and stale piss. Cat decided to risk it and opens the door to see what's going on. When she does, the house is immediately flooded with the stench. She shouts out to him. He barks back, keep that closed. She keeps that closed. Eventually, bodily needs overcome fear and I walk off to the bathroom. It's set on the wall that faces the ravine. This bit's gonna sound seriously fake, but it's the reason I keep all my windows covered to this day. As I'm shitting, I look up at the bathroom mirror. Something in the reflection looks back at me. It's illuminated by the light from inside and outside, so I get a better look at it than I ever would have wanted to. Bullet-shaped head, but not in the traditional sense. Standard 9mm round on its base and you get the idea. Rough gray-red fur with a forward-facing whorl. A little swirly thing on the back of your head. And that what looks like a part on one side. Eyes, fuck me, the eyes are the absolute worst. Just no thank you. Its face is sort of lopsided, but the nose is large and squashed. The mouth is hanging open a little, and the teeth are sort of tombstone shaped and cruddy. My butthole nearly explodes from the sheer force of my fear shits. I just shit and stare at the thing's reflection, my mind failing to change gears. Then it leans forward and I hear a clunk of its face hitting the glass above my head. Continued. The new source of input recalibrates my brain. It realizes this thing is right the fuck behind me. I start wailing like a banshee, hear the thing fucking gurgle through the glass, flail sprint my way through the bathroom door, trip on my pants, still around my ankles, and get a chunk of wood from the kitchen shitty particle board lodged in my knee. Too scared to even feel pain of embarrassment. Cat and brother come into the kitchen, see me panting and sobbing, sprawled on the floor, pants around feet, staring at the bathroom. I didn't even have time to wipe. Cat asks what happens as I pull my pants up. Dad comes barging through the door. Guess he heard my screams and thought I was being befuckled by some big gurgling monkey dog bastard. He sees me on the floor bleeding and immediately yelling about how I raised that much racket over a busted knee. I see his fear, relief, anger, and raise him the hurt and pure terror of a tween that lost a staring contest with the fucking monster. Tell him about the thing I saw. He tells me and my brother to go upstairs. Don't remember much after that except that he went back out, left one of the dogs with us, and that Cat helped me clean and bandage my knee. The next day, Dad wouldn't let us go outside, but the smell was still in the house. He called her mom up to come to Springfield, halfway meetup point the next day. Pig was gone. About 80 pounds of exquisitely barbecued leftovers and carcass that Dad had promised the neighbor in exchange for the pig. One of the dogs was missing. Dad stayed inside with us that night. I was too afraid to go downstairs to bathroom, so he gave me a milk bottle and extra blanket as a privacy tent. And that's really it. He took us to Springfield the next day after making us promise not to tell Mom. I might not have shown it very well, but he loved the hell out of us and didn't want her to stop bringing us. I was there again a year or so ago. We barbecued in his new hand-built smokehouse, drank, shot the shit, but the second I brought up the incident I've been posting, it killed the mood immediately. All he said was, we haven't been having any trouble full for the last few and went back to drinking. It's worth mentioning though that there's another new addition to his place. A concrete slab off past the trees in the back of the house. It's not raised off the ground and it's not very cleanly laid out. It's about 5 feet wide, 6 or 7 long. If you kick up the dirt around it, you dig up a thin layer of black shit like soot. Now I'm not saying that he managed to kill one of those things, burned its corpse in a pit and buried it under all the concrete, but if he did, I hope it was the big gurgly bastard. Opie here, back again after another night's sleep. I just wanted to clarify that only the first story is mine. The second, Ozark Note Fortress, was another based on Anon's tale. Also a bit of an update on the possibility of a return trip. JD is back in town, and I'm trying to get a few more of my buddies to head out there after Christmas. Note Fortress, Anon here, good luck, remember to bring a camera. And that's the end of the thread. This thread lasted for about, I think it lasted over 2 days. Yeah, it lasted for about 2 days, the 16th of December to the 18th of December, and that's pretty much the end of this tale. Now there were 2 pictures that I failed to look at that the OP posted, which was this one, not allowed to talk about. It's a cool photo though. And then this one, which is also a very cool photo. But overall, I personally I enjoyed this thread. I actually didn't expect 2 stories for the price of one. I just expected the first story, but the second story was also pretty good as well. I think they were both very enjoyable stories, and I think this is a very good thread to return back to recording threads on, because it was more of a reading thread than having to pick through a lot of shit, even though I did have to pick through a lot of shit. I enjoyed both stories, to be honest, and I really like this thread. It's a good way to come back to recording threads on a high note for me personally, but I hope that you enjoyed the story and the thread as well. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you. Stay chill.